All right, family, peace, love, and light. Thank you all for tuning in back to another Friday where today we're going to be talking about how the wealthy stay wealthy and have over the years, how the wealthy pay no taxes, why the Trump administration has passed the bill July 4th that they had passed, helping individuals that are investing specifically into real estate. If you yourself has ever thought about real estate, you guys have been looking for that one piece of information to help you guys pull the trigger. I believe that you guys are going to find it here today on today's live, on today's teaching. So make sure that you guys go out and you share this with anybody else as well too that's looking to get started or involved in the real estate space. Me and my partners, we've got a fund where we're operating and helping professional athletes invest their money that they're making as a W-2 employee, which many people and most people don't know of or are unaware of. So these are high earnings as a W-2 employee that many are not investing into real estate. And that's where I had seen, and I've told you guys time and time again, in the business space, in life, find a need. I'm going to say it again, find a need. What is the need in your industry? What is it that's lacking? And fill that need. So in the sports industry, me being around, these guys all the time, I see what is lacking. I see that these financial advisors are simply advising them to invest into investments that they are simply licensed with themselves. And in essence, they have a fund in which they're operating and where they're able to invest their clients' money, which a lot of times these clients are unaware or will state such, and they're getting a 30-year return on their investment, all while this investor, the financial advisor, is investing their clients' money into the investments in which they are licensed to. And so today we're going to go over some things, in terms of why I believe multifamily and real estate are the best investment asset. And I believe when it comes to investing just as a whole, timing is everything. And with what Trump had passed back in July, being able to take advantage of the 100% depreciation going into the year end, it's vital, right? We've only got, less than 2 months to capitalize off of this 2025 tax depreciation. And when we talk about real estate and the losses that you guys can, capture with you guys investing into real estate, it's a no-brainer. All right, so we're going to dive right into it. Thank you all for being here. Before we do get into this, let's go ahead and express two things in the chat box that each and every single one of you guys are grateful for. I'm gonna see what's up with this mic. I'm gonna look to change the mic. Let me see. Give me one moment. Let's see if this one will work for me. Otherwise, we just gonna have to run the play. Hello. Yo. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. All right, I don't know. All right, y'all. So she don't want to work with us, so we are just going to go ahead and run it. All right, man. So first of all, let's continue to express what it is that we're grateful for. I believe in order to, attract life's comings, one must be in a state of gratitude. And so I ask you guys, to express what it is that you guys are grateful for. Every day I love to just one, express, and then two, see, what those around me are grateful for. I was doing a meditation today, and within the meditation, it was referring to us living in a world of abundance and us simply just needing to raise our awareness to it, and just allow the abundance to flow to and through us. Oftentimes, and really every time, we're blocking it and just unaware of what it is that's surrounding us. It's like being a fish in the water. How can a fish seek to attract water when they are simply submerged within that water? See, what I want you guys to understand is that fish is literally just unaware of all that is it's within. And that's like many of us. Many of us are unaware of the abundance that we're within. And so in order to find it, you must go within. You must disconnect from what we know of as reality and go into your inner world and create your outer world by going into your inner world. So with that being said, for me, let's go ahead and hop into today's training. Thank you all for being here. I want to express my gratitude towards y'all, for time and time again showing up. That's the biggest thing I've always said throughout life is simply just showing up. Right? If we can show up, that's half the battle. Right? Is just showing up. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. All right, so as you guys can see, we got the year-end tax strategies. That's what we're all here to talk about today. Especially with us coming to the closing of 2025, it's vital, to be able to capitalize off of the tax depreciation within year 2025. And so that's why we're going to continue throughout the rest of the year just to go over these tax calls and different tax strategies ultimately to help you guys keep the money in your pockets, not only this year, not only next year, but for years to come. Ultimately, the name of the game is to pay as little to no taxes as possible. As we know, the IRS is a completely foreign entity. They have nothing to do with the United States government, and there's not one law that states that one is obligated to pay in such. So if we can learn different loopholes and ways to offset, we won't have to even worry about any of these corporations coming after us, and we can peacefully operate in the private with many of you guys going through and continuing to expand on the teachings that we've had over here within the years, and also what's drawn you guys just here ultimately with the consumer law teachings and ultimately just the awareness to this fictitious game, ultimately that's being played. And so when it comes to taxes, I want to give you guys the best strategies, and I believe that real estate is such. And so with that being said, we're going to dive right into, I got some notes within my notebook that I got for you guys that I want to cover here on today's call as well too. So I will be going back into the notes, checking on the notes as well too, as we are going up throughout this, because I am not a CPA. And if there's any questions that you guys have, go back and watch the replay of our last Friday on taxes and the year-end tax strategies with this exact same presentation that we're going to be covering today, and check out that recording that I had done with Patrick. I went over that one personally, but if you guys skip to the end, he did a Q&A. One of these weeks, we are going to get him to go through this whole presentation, and he's going to be able to, break it all down more in depth for you guys as well too. I know a lot of the pointers I'm touching on are more surface level. This is something that our tax team did come together and create ultimately for our investors, so that therefore our investors can capitalize off them, and if they off of these tax strategies to end off the year. Specifically, our professional athletes. I'll go ahead and show you guys one of the messages that I had sent to our athletes and their financial advisor. And so coming here, let me see. I had stated, this is our last investment opportunity of the year, and it will qualify for the 2025 bonus depreciation. So that's what I want you guys to write down: 2025 bonus depreciation. The Trump administration, they brought back bonus depreciation, all the way up to 100% on any property purchase. Furthermore, we're going to have all the final K1s ready just before March as well too. So that's what, not even 4 months out. This deal simply makes the most sense, and we're getting it at a 30% discount. Blank, the athlete's name, needs some type of cash flow with his investments, not just something that he'll have to wait 30 years to double. Because once again, that's what most of them are investing into: IRAs, 401ks, etc. We will reach our target raise shortly. He has 30 days to get the money wired. Would love to see what we need to do to pull the trigger. I believe he should put at least 250, especially for tax purposes, but bare minimum 100K with my fund. I'm raising 5 million on this deal. As a professional athlete, we have a limited window of high earnings, right? How many, of contracts are no more than 3 to 5 years? That's a very short window. Those 3 to 5 years fly by very quick, of your contract and what you ought to, get paid out. We must maximize those earnings by reducing your taxable income right now. We must maximize those earnings by reducing your taxable income right now. So all of the income is taxable, the W-2s. Just like many of you guys probably watching this and that have been drawn to this channel, you guys are W-2 employees and you have taxable income. Well, we must maximize those earnings by reducing it by investing into assets such as real estate. Plus, you're setting yourself up with cash flow investment that continues to benefit you down the road. And then, you guys want to know what they said? Drop a 1 in the chat box if you want to know what the financial advisor went through and stated. We are prioritizing more liquid investments for the athlete. I love real estate and own property myself, but we first need to secure the second contract to allow the proper asset allocations. I'll be sure to let you know when we're ready to proceed. So I'm like, okay. Common, pretty basic and already known, response. The power is in follow up, etc. The biggest thing for me is to know the plan and to help educate. I believe education and timing are the biggest part. As you know, right now with the Trump administration, bonus depreciation is back to 100%. Just makes sense to put into a proven cash flowing system. Not sure if you've checked the last 11 full cycle deals and the actual versus the projected returns. What type of liquid assets are you looking into? What are the projected monthly or annual returns? The multifamily will give the cash flow needed plus the depreciation. Equity and investments alone can't guarantee this type of return. In addition, he also needs to diversify his investments from the markets. Multifamily is a great alternative. Otherwise, we have a great relationship all over the investment space and can make any introduction that may be of value. Lastly, which is the best way you'd want to stay up to date on future opportunities with our multifamily deals? I said, peace and blessings. I know the holidays are coming up and would love to talk strategies. Let me know a day and time. Would love to talk more strategies and help our athlete take advantage of tax depreciation closing out the year. So that's where we're putting all of our focus with our athletes as such. Y'all are getting paid W-2 employees. Y'all are getting paid all of this money, but at the same time, it's also coming to be taxed. So put that money into something where you can write it off as a loss and still earn that cash flow. Name one other asset where you can do that. So end of the year, why does this matter? As I kind of mentioned, I'm briefly going to go into each topic. I'm not going to cover each specific bullet point. But through October, through December, this is the most proactive window for tax planning. And I believe that real estate offers deductions that are unavailable in any traditional investment, as I just mentioned, and what I was kind of reading through to you guys as well too, with our athlete and their financial advisor and their agent as well too. The best strategy is the one you execute before the year end. So what better timing? And then we've got key tax strategies for real estate investors as well too. So we've got cost of segregation. I did write some notes on here because um, I wanted to go ahead and express or elaborate on each one of these points a little bit more. So we got cost seg, which is separating a property into its component parts. So things such as kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms, with our business plan, we're going through and doing value add, and everything is all vertically integrated as well too. So in terms of just the return on the cash flow, as to what we are investing into the material and the pieces, we won't be needing to have to pay so much overhead to where therefore the return, as we're going through and in essence fix and flipping this multifamily unit, we're therefore able to increase rent. And as we increase rent, it's a multiplier. Think about 240, think about 260 times $50 times $100. That multiplier, it increases drastically, and it helps your overall net operating income be that much higher. So there's tons of ways when we talk about us being able to leverage the cost aggregation and with the properties that we're buying in our business plan, we're coming in and we're using our materials that we have within our markets, within the warehouses in those three markets. So we're not going anywhere, and having to pay all of these travel fees or extra third, middleman fees, as it's all vertically integrated with our construction company. And then we've got the 100% tax depreciation right now with the Trump administration. Anything that has useful life less than 5 to 15 years is falls under that cost segregation. Then we got accelerated depreciation, which is being able to bonus move the depreciation faster. Being able to bonus move the depreciation faster. So it's able ultimately it's an accelerated depreciation. So it's able to move the depreciation that much faster, hence the name accelerated depreciation. And then we can see the actual definition we have here. It allows investors to write off assets value more quickly than this standard schedule, increasing deductions in the first few years of ownership. And something I want you guys to ultimately keep in mind when it comes to real estate, I mentioned this already a couple times, is the losses that we can go ahead and that's a deduction, right? So now with the accelerated depreciation, we can do it that much quicker as well too. So this is why I love real estate, and it's not just going to be year one that we'll be able to benefit from this depreciation, but it'll be over time throughout time span of the investment, which is typically that 5 to 7 year time frame that we're informing our investors on. So once again, accelerated depreciation, it allows investors to write off assets value more quickly than the standard scheduled, increasing deductions in the first few years of ownership. I want you guys to be mindful or depreciation recapture when selling. Plan accordingly with your tax advisor. So ultimately, each person's situation is going to be completely different. So I want you guys to connect with your specific tax advisor. If you guys do not have one, reach out to us. I'll go ahead and drop the QR code as well too here within the media assets, as you guys can go to Patrick's website, check out his website. And if you guys are looking for any more information in regards to how you guys yourself can ultimately connect with him, message us at 305-575-2843, the word taxes, and then I'll be able to get you connected with him and the email that you will need to go ahead and get you guys set up. Next, we've got bonus depreciation. Bonus depreciation, let's see the notes that I got here. It states that I want you guys all to look into section 179, right? Section 179 in the IRS. With real estate, we get the best appreciation, especially with it being back at 100% right now with the Trump administration. So we do got that bonus depreciation. It's a form of accelerated depreciation that lets investors deduct a large percentage all the way up to 100% in recent years of qualifying property costs immediately in the first year. So this is what I love. I mean, especially right now, as I mentioned, timing is key with everything. With the Trump administration passing the bill July 4th, with up to 100% depreciation, with us having the bonus depreciation and the accelerated depreciation, we're able to therefore, count off, all the deductions into the value add and the investment itself and the whole business plan of us going through. And I mean, things such as furniture, I mean, the kitchen counters, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, I mean, even the concrete, and the sidewalks, all of those things are all things that, are cost segregation. And then we've got the 1031 exchange, which this is simply a tax deferred strategy that allows investors to sell one property and reinvest the proceeds into another like kind property without paying capital gain taxes right away. Ultimately, you do want to seek your CPA and a tax, advisor for this, as there are ways to go, about having to pay tons of fees and tons of extra costs if you don't do it the proper way. So I would, advise you guys to seek advice from a CPA to help you guys. There are traditional versus light 1031 exchanges. I want you all some homework to look into the difference between, the traditional versus a light 1031 exchange. So some timing considerations. What are some things to consider, coming here into this call, coming here into our investments, coming here to the year-end close of 2025. So the biggest thing is to invest before December 31st in order to capture 2025 deductions. As I did mention, if we come back here to the bonus depreciation with the administration having it up to 100%, you guys are able to go out and take advantage and capture, that 100% depreciation and ultimately still get that cash flow from this asset. And as I mentioned, with this deal that we're raising capital for, the K1s will be sent come March, and we're in November at this time. So we're talking 4 months out. You guys will have your K1s. And next thing I want to touch on is placed in service. Date dictates eligibility. Timing can shift thousands in taxable income. I have found that this raise has been probably the most simple of the past two raises that we've done, in terms of just people coming and, needing to put their money to work in, to put their money, in a place ultimately where they're not going to be taxed and where it's still able to work for them. And they're able to keep their money and put that money, to go out and make more money ultimately. And this is how the wealthy stay wealthy. Why would I pay a corporation, money that is my money that I've earned, my earned money, into something that goes to nothing, that we're told it goes to certain things in the public, but I can assure you that it does not, when I can put it into things that are cash flowing and I can write off as a loss as well too. Now we've got bonus depreciation mechanics, right? So we got the accelerate major write-offs in year one. As I mentioned, year one, it's not just year one though. So we can deduct a large portion of the property cost immediately rather than spreading it over decades. The cost of segregation unlocks eligible asset categories. So we've got specific building components like flooring, appliances, and lighting that can be depreciated faster for additional deductions. So as I mentioned, with all the deals that we're doing as well too, with all the ones that we've done, 100% of the units can be renovated and have not been renovated, and 100% of them also have the ability to add in washers and dryers, which is also another premium and amenity that one can add to the overall business plan. And so I say this to say, family, with our business plan, is proven, it works. And not only does it do such, and can we now multiply, and increase the multiplier of our overall net operating income, but now we can be able to benefit off of the cost of segregation with building components like flooring, appliances, lighting, etc. All the tools and appliances that can be depreciated faster for additional deductions. And we've got 100% bonus depreciation being back with the new tax bill. You guys have heard me, time and time again talk about such. So we've got the entity level consideration. So you guys can't come in, yes, as an LLC, as an LP, or an individual ownership investing into any of our deals with our fund. We do have funds that do invest into our fund. So that is something, and a goal of mine ultimately is to help, my intermediate, and what we're going to drop is something called the league owners. And the league owners, we're going to have 30 league owners are all able to be funds investing into our fund. But with those 30 league owners, we're going to help you guys operate a fund The name of your guys' fund will be one of the teams or the league, owners. You guys will be the league owner of your fund. But ultimately, we're looking to help others go out and set up funds as well too. But your fund is more than capable of investing into such. Most people do come in, just as an individual owner and invest into the deals. As I mentioned, you guys can be a limited partner or have your LLC coming in, investing into the deal. I don't recommend at all you guys using a sole proprietor or a C corp or an S corp. But that's something that I would ultimately once again advise with your CPA. Then we've got coordinating with your CPA, once again, aligning the entity type, and with all of them just to see what's best for you and your guys' situation. If you guys are a business owner and most of your money comes from your business, it may be different than somebody that is one of our athletes where, all of their money's coming in as a W-2 employee. And so ultimately coordinate with your guys' CPA and optimize for long-term planning. So I mentioned, with the year-end strategies, that real estate and being able to take advantage of the 2025 tax depreciation and the 100%, depreciation with, the Trump administration. But ultimately, long-term planning, things that we're talking about passing down to generations, and that are going to be bringing in cash flow, but not only cash flow, but that we could ultimately continue to benefit from in terms of taxes and our money not being taxed. And let's say we've got a savings account that we want to, be able to use. Why not just use a 20 to 30 year savings? Most of you guys have 30-year investments. Well, why not use, one investment and 1031 exchange that, investment over the 20 to 30 year time frame that you would like to invest into one asset, and your money's making a smaller percentage over that 30-year time frame. So ultimately choosing the right structure which supports your future investments, liability protection, and flexible exit strategy. So using multifamily as a tax tool, one, I mentioned a lot of these as well too. I will touch on them. It generates both passive income and losses. There's no other asset. I would love for anybody in here to comment down below one asset that is better than real estate where you guys can invest into it, write off the losses, benefit from the losses, and still receive that cash flow. You guys can offset the gains from other investments. Depreciation enhances after tax returns, and the long-term tax shield and growth engine of the ultimate asset. Everything that we've done in this space has been, just a repetitive system that's worked. We've been able with our fund, and the partnership that we have of, to be able to go out and help our clients lose zero investor money and investors capital. Ultimately, we've been able to full turn, full cycle, 11 deals, full cycle where we've acquired them, we've gone through, we've renovated them, and over the 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 year time frame, we've gone out and we've sold it to institutions. I mentioned 3 years because it hasn't really even gone to that 5 year time frame. Really, the longest I've seen is that 3 year time frame. But we do always inform our investors that it is that 60-year project or 60-month, that 5 year projected return on their investment. So what are the next steps? How can we get started? How can we lock in with you guys? I always say the next step really is to schedule a call. Let's connect. Let's see if this is for you. Let's see, in terms of just the relationship and the connection, if this is for you, if this is for us, if this is for me, and, what I align with. Because, one of my company's name, and this is really what I pride myself on with everything, is, just understanding that it's for anybody. Anybody can invest in the real estate. Anybody can, reach out to me. Anybody can. Anybody in the world. But that doesn't mean everybody will be my partner. That doesn't mean everybody will be somebody I do business with. That doesn't mean that everybody will be somebody that I align with. Or that doesn't mean that everybody will even go out and do it. Or that doesn't mean that everybody will put in the work or do the things that it takes to get the outcome. So this is not for everybody. And if you guys are looking for more insight, I challenge you guys, go check out our website, notforeverybody.org. We are going to be launching some big things. And when we talk about athletes, this is a training company where I actually work with athletes, getting in the lab, getting in the gym, hitting the mountains, getting out in nature, doing breath work with these athletes outside of just the investment space. We are helping these athletes grow on all levels and in all spaces as well too. So this is our site here. We are still adding a lot more to it. So in due time, very soon, the back end's almost completely built out. But you guys will be able to come here and you guys will be able to purchase merch. We'll have merch, here, a lot of sportswear stuff. But ultimately, where culture is curated, where ambition breaks the frame, where it's not for everybody, So I'm excited to really fully go more in depth with even just the mission and all that we're creating and putting together with Not For Everybody and the training side, of what we got going on with these athletes outside of just, investments. So you guys see, like it's bigger than, a game. It's bigger than a business. Right? It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. And I believe that's how we're going to shift and change, the game. And so after we schedule the call, we can go through an evaluation of your tax and investment fit. We can get you on a call with our CPA. And then from there, we can invest before 2026. We do have one more deal, that we will be raising capital with. And the end of this will come December 12th. So you guys have about that 28-day time frame before we start to close out on the year end. But ultimately, that's what I wanted to cover here today. This is why the wealthy continue to stay wealthy. It's not a secret. The wealthy are simply putting their money in the right places. They're putting their money to work, rather than them going out and always working for money. Not only are they putting it out to go work for them, they're putting it into investments that they're well aware of that they can write off as a loss and be able to not only, and when we talk about losses, it's something that these banks do as well too, with these charge-off accounts. And with these charge-off accounts, they're writing it off as a loss. Why would I want to write something off as a loss? Because now I can get paid for that come, tax return season as well too. So I want you guys to understand, what these, big financial institutions are doing with your guys' credit and the charging off process. Is the exact same process that the wealthy are doing in terms of them putting their money into real estate and writing it off as a loss, being able to benefit from those losses and then ultimately still receive that cash flow as well too. And it's really the same thing that the banks are doing, because they're receiving that cash flow every single month from individuals that are paying, monthly statements that are already credited, but they're getting that every single month, their cash flow. And if they don't get it, it's okay. We'll write it off as a loss. Now we'll get that money back come tax return season. Is this making sense? Drop the word billions in the comment section if this is making any sense. Other than that, family, I appreciate you all for being here. We will be live again next Friday, same time, same place, same everything. If you guys like this, if you guys want to see more of it, if you guys would love to get more insight as to how you guys can invest with us, ultimately, scan this QR code in the top right corner. Let's connect. Let's schedule that 15-minute call. Let's see how, things align on your end with what is it we have going on. And I will see you guys all next Friday. We will also continuously be running our lives every Tuesday and every Friday. So we do got 2 live streams. I am going to fix up the banner so that all of you guys can go ahead and set your alarms. But set your alarm now for Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. If not Tuesday, if you guys just want the real estate information, I'll see you guys on Friday. Peace and love.